Hello and welcome to the daily newspaper analysis. Today we shall be discussing the newspaper of the 2nd of March. So coming to the first article, now this being a Friday, this is the customary yes, no, it's complicated article. The topic for today is that is artificial intelligence a danger to humanity? Now before we begin, some understanding regarding what is artificial intelligence in itself is vital. Now in the simplest of terms, if you want to understand what is artificial intelligence, then artificial intelligence is simply a machine which can think for itself. So it is a thinking machine. But a definition is something that you should know for UPSC. So the definition is going to be that artificial intelligence is a computer system which is able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. Now these are some technologies that we are seeing in the present times. For example, the facial recognition technology of smartphones is visual perception. It is a form of artificial intelligence. Also speech recognition. For example, a person might be speaking in different accents but in the same language. So if a technology, if a particular mobile phone is able to identify what a person is saying despite the difference in his accents, then it is a case of speech recognition, and this is something that is equivalent to artificial intelligence. So that is something that you need to know in the background aspect. Now coming to the analysis itself, the first argument is that yes, indeed artificial intelligence is something that is dangerous to mankind. Now the first argument that has been given here is that artificial intelligence has a certain degree of independence. Now what has been argued typically in this particular issue is that whenever there is a fear regarding technology, for example, it is feared that guns are dangerous. For that matter, even nuclear weapons, which are a form of technology, are dangerous. But the issue with all the other forms of technology is that all these technologies are under the control of human beings and they do not have an independence. So the agency in these machines is the human. And this is exactly what is missing in the technology with regards to artificial intelligence, because these machines will have an independence of their own, and that is the primary cause why this particular technology is much more dangerous than any other technology in the past. So that is one issue. Another thing is with regards to focus on only one value, and that value is intelligence. Now this is something that is important. This is also important from ethics point of view. Now you need to understand that in making a human being, there are several values which come to play. For example, compassion, empathy, honesty. These are some values which humans generally have. However, if artificial intelligence as a technology is only focusing on one value, which is intelligence, then this is something that is going to lead to some distortion, and this is what is going to create a danger with regards to artificial intelligence, and that is something that has been analyzed here. Another thing which has been analyzed in the article is with regards to some characteristics of artificial intelligence. Now here you need to understand that artificial intelligence is specifically focusing on a superlative form of memory. It is focusing on some extreme calculative powers, some high degree of decision-making capacity, and some high speed of actions. These are some characteristics which artificial intelligence is going to have. And with these characteristics, indeed, artificial intelligence can supersede humans. It is going to present a case of superhuman. So that is what is being feared with regards to artificial intelligence, as a result of which it is going to be a danger to humans. Another thing what is important here is that for times immemorial, humans have been desiring for immortality and perfection. And if today human beings are pursuing artificial intelligence, then it is nothing more than a manifestation of this desire of human beings. And it is this desire which in the past has led to several wars and several inhuman activities. And this is something that is being feared by the author here, that this desire, this intention is something that is not noble, and that is the cause of concern with regards to the dangers of artificial intelligence. So that is one analysis. Another very, very important issue is with regards to artificial intelligence capitalism. We had discussed this article in the past also. Now this word in itself is going to be a key word for you. Now, what you understand by artificial intelligence capitalism is that this technology of artificial intelligence is something that is being paid by the capitalists. For example, we had talked about the big 5 companies. For example, companies like Amazon or companies like Google, Facebook. These are the companies who are investing in artificial intelligence. So there is a sense of capitalism that is going to be associated with this. And this is something that is leading to the danger of artificial intelligence, because if capitalists are investing, then in the future what they are going to seek from this technology is profit, and this is what could lead to exploitation of human beings, and that is what is being feared of artificial intelligence. For example, rise of artificial intelligence could lead to a high degree of job losses, and that is going to be a concern, that is going to be a danger of artificial intelligence. So from that perspective, definitely this is something that is dangerous. Another thing is with regards to the costs of this technology. Now this cost is not specifically the economic costs only. Here there are several other costs that might be associated with artificial intelligence. For example, it could be a social cost, it could be an economic cost, some other impacts could be there of artificial intelligence, and it is these impacts which have not yet been realized fully. It is these impacts about which there is no clarity, and that is why artificial intelligence is something that is dangerous, and more deliberation on this needs to be done. So that is one analysis. Another thing is with regards to artificial intelligence as a tool to manipulate humans. Now, if artificial intelligence is going to be more intelligent than humans, then it might have a possibility that it can manipulate humans itself, and that is going to be the biggest fear with regards to artificial intelligence. So that is the entire issue with regards to artificial intelligence as being dangerous to mankind. Now coming to the second set of arguments, that no, artificial intelligence is not dangerous to mankind. Now the first argument here is that history of technology is something that is full of fear of technology. For example, in the past, when steam engine was first invented, people feared the steam engine. Even paper is something, the editorial discusses that even paper is something that humans have feared in the past. Another thing which has been mentioned here is that if artificial technology is rising, then its fear is natural. But in the since time immemorial, humans have had this ability to cope up with these fears, and humans have successfully used technology in the past, and this is something that is also going to happen in the case of artificial intelligence. So that is one analysis which has been given. Another thing is that this fear regarding artificial intelligence is a media created fear. For example, movies which are made on artificial intelligence often show artificial intelligence as a kind of a demonic kind of a technology, and this is the cause of fear with regards to artificial intelligence, and this has no particular ground. So that is one analysis. Another thing which is very important is with regards to the uses of artificial intelligence. Now this is something that cannot be denied, that artificial intelligence has several uses. For example, its uses in health and medicine is something that is commendable. Several artificial intelligence programs will be able to diagnose a particular disease, and for a country like India, which is so short of doctors in the healthcare system, artificial intelligence can revolutionize the entire healthcare system. So the uses of artificial intelligence cannot be denied. Some other examples of uses is what has been given. For example, a self-healing electronic skin is what has been talked about. This skin can be used on prosthetics by amputees, and by this skin they can be able to sense temperatures, and this is going to be a huge advancement. Another thing is with image recognition technology of artificial intelligence, visually impaired people can be helped. So that is another benefit of artificial intelligence. So all of these uses of artificial intelligence is something that cannot be overlooked, and that is one analysis which has been given. Another thing which is very important again is inclusive artificial intelligence. Now, like artificial intelligence capitalism, inclusive artificial intelligence is also a key word which you should use in your answers. Now, what you understand by inclusive artificial intelligence is that, as I mentioned, at present, it is only the capitalists who are focusing on artificial intelligence. What is required is that this technology becomes an all-inclusive one, and it has participation from all sectors. For example, the government should actively participate. The citizens should be a part of this particular project of artificial intelligence, and this is what is going to reduce the dangers of this technology and make it more and more useful. So that is one thing which has been analyzed. Another thing that has been given in this argument is that the world of artificial intelligence is something that is going to be designed by humans themselves. So it is the responsibility of the humans to design a world of artificial intelligence which is more aligned with the human values, and that is how artificial intelligence is not going to be dangerous. So that is the analysis which has been given. Now, the most important analysis in this entire article is its complicated arguments, because this has a balanced approach, it has a complete analysis. So major focus should be on these ideas. Now, the first issue which has been analyzed is with regards to a strong and weak artificial intelligence. Now, what you need to understand is that at present what we are seeing is a weak form of artificial intelligence. For example, we have translation apps, or we have facial recognition. These are some weak artificial intelligence, and a strong form of artificial intelligence, which is a humanoid robo, is something that is not seen to its full extent. though the Sophia robo does exist, but it is not a very capable robo as of now. So that is one analysis which has been made, that these fears which are being generated with regards to artificial intelligence, this is something that is not to be feared now, because this technology will probably come in a long time in future, and at present this does not exist. So that is the analysis. Another issue is with regards to data as the fuel for artificial intelligence. Now, if data is the fuel of artificial intelligence, then the focus should be on data of artificial intelligence, which needs to be an unbiased one, which needs to be a clean data. It is only then that artificial intelligence can be adequately used. Now, for example, I'll give you an example here, that if artificial intelligence program is what is used for recruitment of chefs, maybe in a hotel, instead of the human resource development department, in that department, artificial intelligence system is what is used to employ or select some positions of chefs in that particular restaurant. Now, it might happen that the data that has been fed to artificial intelligence is of the picture of photographs of chefs, and a bias is what is developed, that often the job of cooking is of women. So in this case, it will not be a gender neutral data which has been fed to this particular machine. So what might happen is that when this machine has to choose for the position of a chef, it might indiscriminately choose more women as compared to men. So this kind of a bias which does exist in the society can be replicated by an artificial intelligence machine if the data that is given to this machine is not an unbiased one. So this is how artificial intelligence can be misused. So that is one analysis. Another thing is that fears against artificial intelligence is something that have been mooted by leading scientists, and this also includes Stephen Hawking. So that is one cause of concern which needs to be considered. That is one analysis. Another thing is with regards to the benefits and dangers of artificial intelligence. Now this part of the editorial says that the benefit as well as the danger of artificial intelligence is the same, and that is that artificial intelligence is going to bring a change at a faster pace than ever before in the past. And from one point of view it is a benefit, and from another point of view it is a danger. So definitely it is a double-edged sword, and that is the cause of concern with regards to artificial intelligence. Another thing which is going to be very, very important for this year is with regards to artificial intelligence ethics. A question can directly come in the ethics paper, and this is a very important topic this year. Now, what you need to understand with regards to artificial intelligence ethics is that despite the fact that technological advancements in artificial intelligence is something that is taking place, some ethical standards and norms regarding artificial intelligence is something that are not being set. And so it is a need that instead of only employing technocrats, even ethicists should be employed by these companies to ensure that some moral principles, some ethical principles and standards is what is set for the use of artificial intelligence. And that is going to be a very, very important idea which we need to replicate in our mains paper. So that is going to be important. Another thing is that there is a need for inclusion, and this inclusion would include the government, academicians, citizens groups, and that is the civil society for that matter. If there is an inclusion, then indeed from the government regulation is going to come, and from these groups what is going to come is debates on this issue, some discourse on this issue, and some standards of ethics is what is going to be mooted with regards to artificial intelligence. So that is what is going to be important here. Another thing which is important is with regards to the liability of independent decisions. Now here again I'm going to explain through an example. Now for example, we have an artificial intelligence car which is very much soon to come. Now it might happen that this car is driving on a road, and there might be a situation where this car has to either save its own one passenger who is sitting in this car, or it has to save 5 pedestrians who are walking on the road. Now in this car, it is an artificial intelligence system, so the car will have to take a decision. Now whatever be the decision by this car, what is going to be the liability of that decision? Who will be held accountable for this particular decision is a difficult question with regards to artificial intelligence, and this is something that needs to be addressed. So that is one concern which has been highlighted. Another thing, as I have mentioned, is the need of public debate and discourse vis-a-vis the use of artificial intelligence, which is a revolutionary technology of our times, and indeed with this regard some debate is going to be warranted. So that is the analysis here. This editorial is important. This topic is going to be very, very important for 2018 mains. It could even come in as an essay directly, so that is the relevance. Now coming to the next article, mapping the Chinese century. Now basically this is a repetitive article. Time and again we have seen articles on the rise of China. That is the context. But I am including this article particularly because of the author. The author is a former national security advisor. So from that point of view, the editorial becomes important. Now coming to the issues, the first issue is with regards to China as an unrivaled power in Asia. Now here you need to understand that after, it is not basically only because of China's rise, but the issue is that it is US which has receded in Asia. This is primarily in the aftermath of President Trump's coming to power in USA, that the policies of pivot Asia or rebalancing Asia is something that has not been focused much upon, and as a result of which this ground which US has ceded has been taken over by China, and that is the first analysis which has been given. The second analysis is that if there is any other country in Asia which can challenge China, it is India. So that is the second analysis, that India has a major role to play in rebalancing Asia. That is the analysis. Another thing that you need to understand is with regards to China's strategy. Now the strategy which China has used, we've discussed in the past also, is the Belt and Road Initiative, the dollar diplomacy of China, and exploiting the weaknesses and inequality plaguing the international system is something that China is at present following, and this is the strategy used for China's rise in Asia. So that is the analysis. Another thing which is important here is with regards to Asia's role against China in balancing China. Now here something that you should know is that ASEAN, all the 10 ASEAN leaders were in India as Republic Day chief guests. Now in this regard, what you need to know is that all these leaders have come up with a code of conduct with regards to the South China Sea, and this is something that you need to repeat in your answer, or you replicate this idea. This is something that is going to be important. But the issue is that is this code of conduct that has been mooted by the ASEAN countries going to have an impact on China? Because at present that does not seem to be the case. That is something that is important. You need to know that with regards to South China Sea, China has even gone ahead with denying the orders that had been given by the United Nations Convention on Laws of the Seas, and that is something that is going to be important here. Another thing is with regards to the military installations by China. Now this is something that is one of the major strategies which China is using. For example, in the South China Sea itself, China has made some military installations on the Spratly Islands, also on some barren reefs in this particular sea. China now has military installations. Also in the Indian Ocean, China has made military installations in the Gwadar port, the Djibouti Islands. In Maldives, China is going to have, in the southern islands of Maldives, China is planning a military installation. Also in the Hambantota port of Sri Lanka. So this is something that you need to know, that this is a part of the strategy of China. Another thing which is very important is with regards to the 19th Communist Party Congress, which has recently been held in China. In this Congress, it has been decided that President Xi Jinping could be given another term after the year 2023. So this is one important decision. Another thing that was important in this Congress is that China came up with the idea of having a military which is world class. So China has come up very openly about its global leadership ambitions, and also China has mooted the idea that it wants a new era of China's of socialism, a new era of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and this is something that is important, some important development which has happened. Another thing which is very important is with regards to China's role in India's neighborhood. It is undeniable that China is interfering in India's neighborhood. The Doklam standoff in Bhutan, that is something that is important. Then recently, now we are seeing in Maldives, China has made its inroads. Also in Nepal, there's a change of government and the government has warmer relations with China. Also, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is one example of China's inroads into India's neighborhoods. So this is one cause of concern. Undoubtedly, we've discuss this in detail. Another thing which is very important is that China's new development model is something that is being followed. For example, India had a model of democracy in the past, and this was the model that largely India was trying to advocate to its South Asian neighbors. Now, China has come with a new development model, which is an economy-focused development model, and this model is what China is propagating to all the neighboring countries of India, and this is something that is a cause of concern for India, because it is now that India should come up with a newer model which India also can offer to its neighbors. And this model should be one model which is less fearing for the neighbors. Now here, this is one important analysis. What you need to understand is that all the smaller countries are also fearing China. It might be that at present they are partnering with China, but the level of faith and confidence which India has in this region, China does not enjoy that. And this is one advantage which India should bank upon, should take in this particular region. And this is also the net idea which has been given in the way ahead in this particular article. So that is something that is going to be important vis-a-vis India-China relations. The ideas are common, but yes, important again. So that is the relevance. Coming to the next article. Now, this is an important article because this is a rare one. The context is with regards to an emission trading scheme to check climate change within India. Now, first and foremost, you need to understand what is an emission trading scheme. Now, in the simplest of terms, an emission trading scheme is a market-based mechanism where a cap is what is set on the amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases that can be emitted by some companies or some covered entities, and as a result of which the emitters will have to either reduce their emissions within the cap that has been set up, or they will have to buy additional allowances from other entities to compensate for their deficiency. And this is one method which has been mooted by the United Nations originally, and this is, though globally it has not been a very successful idea, it has not been implemented successfully, but indeed it still is considered to be a potential idea, and it is being said that India should adopt this idea. So that is something that becomes important for us. Now, coming to the issues which have been discussed. Now, first and foremost issue is with regards to the need for a separate and an independent regulatory authority. Now, if this idea is to be implemented, then what will be required is that an independent regulatory authority is what is set up so that there is no political influence in this regard, and also the stability of the market where the trading of emissions is what is done is something that is maintained. So that is one analysis. Another thing is that it is the state governments which need to be empowered in this case. Now, for example, a thermal power plant is one which is highly emitting, which emits a high degree of carbon dioxide. So some companies like the thermal power plants can all collectively put under this particular scheme. But otherwise, which entity and which company is going to be included, this is something that should be left upon the state governments, because the state governments can best tell as to who are the biggest emitters in the state. So that is one analysis which has been given in this editorial. Another thing that you need to understand is that a compliance plan is what needs to be mooted. Now, this diagram is something that will help you understand what is a compliance plan. Now, for example, an emission cap is what is set between these limits, and this is what is going to be the compliance plan for that particular company. However, if a company happens to breach that limit of emissions, then it should be divided into different stages. For example, this is a stage 1. If the emissions are within this particular stage 1, this is the non-compliant zone, and in the non-compliant zone, it isn't the stage 1, then a particular degree of penalty is what should be imposed. Some 1 degree of fine should be imposed. If still the emitter goes beyond this, then a 2nd degree of penalty is what should be imposed in the stage 2, and likewise there should be different stages. So this is what has been analyzed, that this kind of a plan is the plan which the government should come up with, and that is what the analysis here. Another thing is with regards to controlling the price volatility in the emission trading scheme, and this is something that is going to be important for ensuring efficient markets. Now, what you need to understand is that globally it couldn't function because the markets couldn't be sustained, and that is the analysis which has been given. So what are the price volatility controlling mechanisms which could be used? For example, the first mechanism is with regards to a safety valve trigger. What you understand by safety valve trigger is that if, say for instance, a particular limit, that which is a safety valve, is what is reached, then in that case the government should intervene. So that is going to be the first mechanism to control price volatility. The second system is with regards to a market stability reserve. Now, what is said here is that a reserve is what the government should maintain, so that if the prices of emissions rises in the market, then the government should release some emissions to increase the supply, and as a result of which the price will come down and the market will remain stable. So that is one idea which could be used. Another idea is with regards to banking. Now, for example, a company in this particular year is not using all its emissions. Suppose 100 emissions is what was allowed. If it has used only 80 emissions, then the 20 emissions that it is left, either it could sell those emissions, or it should also be allowed to bank those emissions so that it could use them in future. So if this kind of a model is what is used, then definitely it will result in some degree of success. So that is something that has been analyzed with regards to emission trading scheme. Now, even if a question is not directly asked on emission trading scheme, this is one idea you can give in curbing climate change. So that is going to be the relevance of this idea. Now, based on this, important questions indeed can be asked in General Studies paper 3. So that is the relevance. Now, coming to the next article, War and Peace. Now, the context is with regards to the most comprehensive peace proposal in Afghanistan since 2001. Now, this is something that has been mooted by Afghanistan President Mr. Ashraf Ghani himself. He has offered to talk with Taliban. And indeed, this is a major step since it is coming after 2001 itself. So that is the relevance. Now, coming to the issues which are important. The first issue is with regards to recognizing Taliban as a political party. Now, this is going to be a major way ahead because till now, Taliban was tagged as a terrorist group. Now, in the new comprehensive peace proposal, the government of Afghanistan has proposed that they will consider Taliban as a political party only if Taliban gives up violence and comes to the negotiating table. So this is a major step ahead. Another thing is that a 7-point plan of engagement is something that has been established. Now, this plan of engagement is firstly without any preconditions on Taliban. That is the first step. Some ideas what has been given is that Taliban will be allowed to open an office in Kabul. Some of the negotiators of Taliban will be given passports of Afghanistan. So all of these are the points of engagement, and that is a major step ahead. Another thing that you need to understand is with regards to US. Now, you need to know that US has continuously refused to hold talks with Taliban. So that is one cause of concern. That is it that Afghanistan government is going to hold talks with Taliban against the opinion of US. So that is one analysis which is going to become important here. Another thing is with regards to the longest war. Now, previously also we have discussed this is the longest war in the history. It's continuing since 2001. So it is almost more than 16 years that this country is facing a war, and this has left the country's governance system almost completely collapsed, and that is the cause of concern. And because of this particular issue, this peace proposal is something that has been mooted. So that is important. Another thing is that Taliban's influence in Afghanistan is something that is rising. It is said that approximately 2/3 of the region in Afghanistan has this influence of Taliban. In several regions, Taliban warlords are coming into power, and that is why the governance has completely failed. So that is something that you need to know. Another cause of concern is with regards to the rise of Islamic State. Now, in the eastern borders of Afghanistan, Islamic State is gaining ground. And this is something that is going to be fearful to the entire region, and especially India also, because Afghanistan is in the extended neighborhood of India. So that is the relevance here. Another thing which is important is the stalemate situation in Afghanistan. Now, this is primarily because neither can Taliban defeat the Afghanistan government, especially when it is backed by the US, nor can Afghanistan government, even by backing of US, can completely defeat Taliban. So, in the stalemate, what is important is that the stalemate be broken, and for this, the peace proposal is something that has been mooted. So that is going to be the relevance here. Afghanistan is going to be again important for this year. So that is the relevance. Now, based on today's discussions, please try and attempt these questions within a word limit of 150 words. So with this, we finish today's discussion. I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow.